My name's Adrian Brown. I'm a coach, consultant, mentor, and I'm one of the Hub Ambassadors. If you joined the Hub recently, you had a little flyer about what all the Hub Ambassadors do, and I'm one of those guys. What we're going to talk about is how to connect your story and your customer's story to make it really work. So let me tell you a story. Connecting with customers is vital. If we don't connect with our customers, I mean connect, not just meet them, but actually connect with them, nothing happens. The connection on the business level is how we attract them, it's how we retain them, it's how we convert them. And it's also how we get this lovely relationship going, because we get to know them better, we get to understand what they're doing, and by doing that we get to make a bigger difference, and you know, we get fulfillment out of that. Do you enjoy working with customers you really like? Yeah, we do. Do you enjoy working with customers you don't like? No. The relationship's gone. Okay? Relationship's always key to this. Your story is about your personal stuff, the things that happen to you in your life, and a bit about your business. It's about the struggle you've had to get where you are, how you overcame it, your passion, and your why. That's your story. Your story, that's what it's made up of. Okay? So if I asked you all to think about that for a minute, you could come up with, okay, you know about you as a person, how you got to where you are today, the struggle you've had, how you've overcome something. Yeah, you could all probably work that out. Okay? Your customer also has a story. They've got their personal stuff going on. They've probably got a complaint or a concern about the world. They've got some hopes, they've got some aspirations, and there's probably some pain point, something going on in their life that they don't really like. And they either want to move towards something better, or they're moving away from the pain. That's what's going on for them. But there's one story that really matters. And that story is the one that motivates, engages, and inspires your customer to take action. You know, in all those marketing blogs and things like that, there's always this thing called the CTA, the call to action. Well, storytelling has got to end up at some point with some action that the customer's going to take. You've got to motivate them to do something that they haven't done already. So you just had that collaboration, you spoke to somebody, in whatever you said to them, you've motivated them to come and work with you, okay? And you probably told a bit of story. Let's start a bit with my story. Now, I'm going to use my story as an example throughout this, okay? So that you actually understand how it all fits together. I had 7 years with Burroughs Unisys Australia, so this is the culture piece of my life, where I learned about working in different countries and learning about different cultures, which is really important. And different cultures, I mean, we've got some international culture in the room, but different cultures, you know, if you live in Guildford and you go and talk to somebody in Birmingham, you're talking to somebody with a different culture, a different upbringing, a different background. If they went to a private school and you went to a state school, different upbringing, different background. So culture gets really deep into everybody's life. You can be in the same room with people you've known all your life, but actually they've got different cultural inputs. Then I did 2 years consulting in the UK, Sweden, Spain, and it was great fun, and in America as well. Then I started a boutique hotel business. Now that experience taught me that experience is so much more important than the product. You can have fantastic product, you can have fantastic things, but unless you deliver a great experience to your customers, then they're not going to be understanding what the hell's going on. And then I started in the beauty salon business, and I went into business with a really large company called Unilever. And that's where I learned about strategy. So what I'm telling you is a bit about my story. So this is about my business background, okay? Is that clear? Then I move on to the next bit of my story, which is sort of like the struggle part. Okay, so I've just given you a bit about the flavour of my background of what I've done, so that my authority piece, if you like. Now it's a bit about the background piece. Well, I was running the beauty salon businesses, and it was going really well, but then I started to have problems with my co-directors. And what that did, I was running around like a blue-ass fly, and I didn't know which way was up. Sound familiar to most business people. So where I'm taking people on the journey is about coping with that problem, okay? But then it gets worse, and I re-emphasize the problem. But then I had a heart attack. Because I was running around so much and doing all that sort of stuff, I was so stressed, I ended up having a heart attack. I then got divorced. And this is all true, actually, so I'm not just making this up. Then I got cancer. We're getting really bad now, a couple of times. And then I fell down the staircase at 4 o'clock in the morning, ended up at the bottom of the staircase with my shoulder in my lap. That was not nice. So what did it do? Yeah, that's how I felt, but my shoulder wasn't quite there. Well, first of all, falling down the staircase made me stop. It was forced upon me. I had to physically stop. My arm was here for 6 weeks. I couldn't do anything with it. The only exercise I was allowed to do was hold it, take it out of the sling, let it down like that, and I could stand up, and that was the only exercise I was allowed to do to move the arm. Only that amount of movement then. Put it back in the sling. That was 6 weeks. Very annoying. I'm right-handed. I'll let you guess what you had to learn to do with the other hand. It also gave me a chance to pause and think about everything I'd done up until that moment. So my experiences of corporate world, of the hospitality industry, of touch and strategy and purpose and culture, so I could understand all those things and put them together. Then I started to breathe in new ideas, take on new ideas, breathe new stuff in, and then when I was ready, had something, a plan in place, a strategy in place, I was able to continue. Okay? So what I've done so far is I've covered some personal business stuff, I've done the struggle, and then I've set up how I overcame, because I stopped, I paused, I breathed, and then I got on with it again. With me so far? Okay? So what's going on in the head of the customer? So what was going on in your head as I was telling that story?
I felt like I could relate to you, actually.
Okay, right. So start of a relationship there. Yeah. Okay, what else?
Oh, sorry for you.
Sorry for me, yeah. But that's fine. No, it's a bit of empathy. It's a bit of sort of like pity. Yeah, well, I'll take it. Take anything. Yeah. What else?
Sorry.
Go on.
I was just saying, understanding of what you bring to the table.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
How courageous you are.
Bit of courage, right, to get through all that.
Yeah,
But-
we could see the struggle you've been through.
Yeah.
And now we can see you standing here, you know, and being sure of you.
So he didn't die. Yeah. Fine.
No, but I mean, you're confident. So that
Yeah.
means even if we are going through a struggle, there is a solution.
Okay, great. So all of those messages coming out, and I haven't actually told you about my business yet, but already we started to create some sort of empathy, some sort of connection. Okay? So that's now a platform that we can work on and build on. We now want to get to their pain. We actually want to now start to think about, well, what's going on with the customer? Because I had this thing called the pain matrix. It was given to me by a lovely guy called Glenn Burgess, who's the founder and director of Powwow Marketing and Media. We've got their story, we've got the personal bit, their complaint, their concern, the hopes, aspirations, and this thing, the pain point. Okay? So how do you get to the pain point of your customer? So you just created all your marketing material, okay? And you could probably sit here and tell us the benefits of it very quickly, yeah? That's good. That's what old selling was all about, features and benefits. Okay? I have a car. It goes this fast, right? It's blue, whatever, right? Those are features and benefits. But they don't really sell. Okay? They're very useful and they're very important because people need to understand that piece, but it's not necessarily what people are buying. So let me explain this pain matrix. So it's methodology for identifying how someone is feeling about stuff, their pain, right? It develops, this is the really key thing, it develops the language that you can use in your storytelling. So it's a process of actually developing that language. It helps you develop the sales copy, and it's connecting with your potential customers' wants and their needs. Two very different things. Wants and needs are two very different things. So what does it look like? It has 4 columns, and I'm going to explain the columns. I've got it filled out because I'm going to use it a bit later on. But here we have a product or a feature. I'm using as my product or feature a 45-minute Kickstarter call, which I do with potential clients. Okay? The benefits. So I now have 3 benefits of this call. The benefits are getting clarity on the challenges facing your business, identifying 1 or 2 key areas could rapidly improve your performance, and get clarity and certainty on the direction of your business overall. That's the objective of the 45-minute call. But if those are the benefits, we now have to start thinking about you, the customer. This is what you have to do. So in your mind, think of a product or feature for your business. Pick one of your products you've got in your mind. Then think of a couple of benefits of that. And then ask yourself the question, if this is a benefit, what is the pain it's addressing? So tell me one of the products you've developed.
So, webinar production.
Webinar production, okay? The benefit of your webinar production is what?
Well, to go engage with their customers and to get to be known better, to create a relationship also online.
So what pain is it addressing? So for me, if I talk about getting clarity on the challenges they're facing in business, the pain would be not having enough time to focus on the important aspects of my business. How many of you complained that you don't have enough time to focus on the important aspects of your business? Right? It identifies one of the key areas to improve performance. The pain that's addressing is there's so much to do I don't want to tackle first. Yeah? Getting clarity and certainty on the direction of my business. There are so many things to do, I don't know which way is up anymore. So that one's like taking action, but this is confused. Right? So people who I'm addressing, who this is relevant to, have got this pain. But here's the important thing. Now we go to the next stage, and we come over here. Because if you are the person who doesn't have enough time to focus on important issues, what sort of things do you say to people you meet down the pub, or have coffee with, or dinner around the dinner table? What are the sorts of things you say about that pain? So, and what I do is I turn this into questions, but they may be saying, you know, I get so frustrated because I can't find the one thing that will turn the business around. Yeah? People look for the one thing, don't they? It's got to be one thing that's going to do it. Or, are you concerned that whatever you try, the business is just not producing the results you want? Right? Those are the sorts of things people say if, and these are real things that people have said to me, so it's not just me making this up, this is what people say. Down here is like, overwhelmed with problems. How many get overwhelmed with problems? Especially other people's problems, right? Happens to you all the time, doesn't it? So we get these pain statements, which actually I then turn into a question. A statement to a question. So someone, let's talk about lawyers for a second, yeah? Who likes lawyers? Any lawyers in the room? No, fine. Sorry if there's any lawyers watching. I love you, really. Right. So, the problem with lawyers is I never understand a word they say. How many of us get confused by lawyers? If that is something that you might say to people, and I want to get your attention because I want to talk to you about that subject, I might say, do you find lawyers confusing? Most people are going to say yes, right? Or, if I want to go for a slightly uncomfortable pain feeling, do you get embarrassed that you never understand what your lawyer tells you? Who's been embarrassed that they didn't understand what some expert was telling them? Well, I should know what that means, shouldn't I? So those are two ways of you take that statement and make it into a question. Let's talk about cars getting serviced. Any car engineers in here? No, I'm safe again. Okay. Getting the car serviced is such a waste of money. Probably, maybe a waste of money, but too expensive, right? We say things like that, yes? Comfortable with that? Could become, do you hate getting ripped off when you get your car serviced? So if you take your car to a particular dealership, branded for that car, they'll probably charge you twice as much as a really good car mechanic down the road that does all sorts of brands, yeah? The other one, you may say, are you frustrated you can't get your car service without taking out a new mortgage, right? So it's just talking to people about making a statement that's about their pain. Are we clear about that? Is everyone on the page? Now notice I was using some emotional words, and these are my, I feel like, 16 emotional words I like to use. So angry, annoyed, bored, disappointed, depressed, concerned, confused, furious, frustrated, fed up, worried, unhappy, upset, dread, something happening, hate something happening, or feeling embarrassed. Do you agree all of those are quite emotive words? Because when you're telling a story or when you're trying to engage somebody, you want to engage their emotions. Features and benefits, unless they're petrol heads, and you're saying it's got 300 cc's more than that car, doesn't do it. Yes?
This is why all the car ads at the moment are telling you you can go snowboarding and you can...
I'll come on to that. Very good. I will come on to that. So here's a pain statement, and here's how it sort of converts. Are you fed up because you can never find enough time for your work? What am I selling at the minute? We don't know. Are the demands of being a stay-at-home dad stopping you from earning enough money? How many people now are working from home, right? And maybe working from home with the kids, because the wife maybe has a paying job. I could change this. I want to target women. I could change that to mums, right? Why not create some space just for you and your work that does not take space away from the family? Now you're going to find out what I'm selling. Arrange a free site visit today for our garden offices can give you the space to grow your business. So a pain point, I'm fed up because I can't, I go and work in the dining room, they've got to put it all away in a box before I can have dinner. Wouldn't it be nice to have some space that I could just use? And I haven't got a spare bedroom, right? So it just takes people down. Now, nobody wants a garden office, right? Unless they've worked it out. What they want is the pain to go away. What's the pain? No privacy. What they need is some new perspective, and so your story is giving people some new perspective. Are we on board so far? Yeah? Is it making sense? So, this lovely smiles come on your face. It's like, oh, this is easy. So the pain statement has got to link to my story. How are they feeling has got to link to my story. Okay? And we're going to get involved with emotions. Now, how many dimensions do we live in? How many? How many dimensions? Or 4 if you put time in, if you want to be clever, right? Because you can't be in the same space again. You can only be there once. So we have 3 dimensions plus time, which gives us the 4th dimension. Then add emotion. So if I'm standing here at this particular moment in time, I could stand here being happy, sad, excited, terrified. How many more emotions have we got? So actually emotions create this infinite number of dimensions that we're talking into. And if you are really good at the marketing aspect, what you're doing is plugging into people at a certain point in time with a certain pain, feeling a certain way, and then you're taking them on a journey. Yeah? That's why this is really powerful. Storytelling is really powerful because storytelling is all about connecting with the emotions. And then you choose the story that you're going to tell. Now, if I asked you to write down your life story, how many of us could get past 1 page of A4? A book? We've got lots of stuff. There's lots of things that have happened to you, experiences you've had, you could tell stories about. And some of them are really relevant to your business, and some of them aren't. But the thing is picking which one. So when I stopped, something. So for me, when I stopped, what I discovered, and this is how I overcame the challenge. And the stopped bit, I used the story of the half bottom of the stairs, and then how I overcame the challenge. Who can use this? So we've heard the advert, you should have gone Specsavers, right? Selling what? Glasses. Well, actually, selling the optician services that sell the glasses. Yeah? I liked the shave so much, I bought the company. What was that for? Remington. Obviously not a user. No. Service providers. Every single service provider can use story to tell their things. Educators, of course, any educator, brilliant for that. Anyone can use story to sell their products and services as long as you do the work to understand what your product or service, the transformation you cause, is addressing what pain or aspiration in your customer. People buy people, not products. Okay? And you've heard that said so many times, but now you just heard that in the context of what I've just said. Do you really understand what that means? Right? It's not because you're wearing a pink dress or a blue dress or a red dress or you dress smart enough. It's actually the story that you are. And we are all stories. We're walking, talking stories, all of us. This is an advert for Volkswagen. From some time ago, it's minus the colour, you can tell, right? Brilliant.
Some time ago, the Volkswagen people went to see one of Italy's most famous automobile designers.
Buongiorno, volete seguirmi per favore?
Buongiorno, buon piacere. Ben arrivati, prego. Buongiorno, l'ho fatto buon viaggio? Molto traffico in questi giorni. È formidabile. Bene. They gave him this assignment.
Quali miglioramenti?
What changes would you recommend in the design of the Volkswagen? He studied it and studied it. Then said,
Ingrandire il finestrino di dietro.
make the rear window larger.
Solamente questo?
That's all.
Solo questo.
So they're using story, but what are they using story about? A feature of the product, okay? The window. So that advert was just telling you that the car's got a bigger window, and they used a lot of story to tell you that it had a bigger window. Didn't tell you anything else, right? But that's what adverts used to be like. So here's a more recent Volkswagen advert.
Let me tell you about the bird and the bee, the flowers and the trees, the moon up above, and a thing called love. Let me tell you about the stars in the sky, the girl and the guy, the way they kiss on a night like this. When you look into your bright, it's very plain to see that it's time you learn about the fact of life. Stop and live to see. Let me tell you about the birds and the bees.
Life's as big as you make it. Introducing the all-new 7-seater Volkswagen Atlas.
Anything called love.
Still ended with a bit about the product, a 7-seater Atlas, but life's as big as you make it. What a lovely message, right? And it was not about the product, it was about the life, the story, what was going on with families. And it's just a completely different advert, right? There's some of you smiling, but it's like just totally different engagement, totally different connection to it. And that doesn't mean I'm going to go and buy a Volkswagen necessarily, but I'm going to remember the advert because it was funny. You know, a couple shagging in the car. But it's like, that's what story can be, okay? And so what we need to do is get away from products and features and really get into creating stories that tell people about something that's going to connect with them. So to do that, what do you have to risk? Well, the first thing you have to risk is your heart. Because a lot of people risk things in business. We risk money, we risk our relationships, we risk sort of time, but actually we don't risk the personal stuff. So heart is what you believe in, what you stand for. We've got to risk our reputation. We've got to put our reputation on the line. And we've got to risk our comfort. How many of you feel comfortable picking up the phone to the customer? We were talking about it earlier, right? How many feel comfortable about sending an email blast to 1,000 people? How many of you feel comfortable about standing in front of a room? Who likes standing in front of a room? Right? You all do great. Most of you do, right? But some people hate it. Heart is about what you believe. It's about championing a vision. It's about trusting others. It's being the leader, and it's setting a path. Being courageous about the service and values that you offer, right? Your reputation is being prepared to be seen as foolish, or being stupid or wrong, or being criticised, being misunderstood by your audience, questioned and attacked in public. That's happened to me. You've got to be able to be prepared to act in the ways that other people don't expect, because that's going to make you stand out, as long as you're doing that appropriately. But you've got to put your head above the parapet. Yeah? You've actually got to show up. How many people, when you look around at businesses and you see them do an advert once every now and again, or they send you an email once every now and again, or you know, they put a Facebook post up once every now and again, that's not going to get you anywhere. Not in today's world, because people won't notice you. So you've got to continually put your head above it, you've got to continually show up. And then the comfort. So this is something I aim for every day. I try to make sure I'm stretched, a little bit frightened, a little bit exposed every single day within the context of my business. How many of you do that consciously?
I try.
Yeah, no, great.
I kind of have a little saying of business begins outside your comfort zone.
Absolutely. How many of you seek out problems and sweep them under the carpet? No, it's seeking out problems and then committing to solving them. Because if you found a problem, don't walk away, run towards it rapidly. Because that's what's going to change the level of your business. Letting go habits and starting new paths is really difficult. How many of you tried to give up a habit, consciously tried to give up a habit? How successful were you?
Gave up smoking.
You gave up smoking. I did too. How did you do it?
I sussed out why I started in the first place.
Brilliant. right? The connection you had to that. I read the book by, what's his name, Daniel Carr and David Carr, Alan Carr, right? Brilliant. I read the first time, and I stopped smoking halfway through it. Got to the end of the book, said, don't stop till you get to the end. I went, oh, right. Started again very quickly afterwards. Next time, read it right way through to the end, stopped at the end, never touched a cigarette again. Because it just reprogrammed me to think differently about habit. And you've got to go for growth and expansion always, stepping out of the comfort zone. I called about the stretch zone and the breakthrough zone last week. So the stretch zone is where you actually, you're making it a bit public, you're going a bit further forward. But the breakthrough zone is when you cut that ribbon and you tell lots of people you're going to do it. Because in the stretch zone, sometimes you don't tell people. And then if it doesn't work, say, I didn't, no, don't worry about it. Make yourself accountable. It sort of puts that. So how do you build this third story? This story that's going to connect your customer's story with your story. So it all starts with your framework. And your business, your products and services that you offer, there is a framework to it. Okay? There is things that you do, the services that you provide, there's transformations that you create for your customer. And that can be because of a service, could be a product, could be anything, right? And then you have some form of sales funnel that's going to take them from finding out about you and take them down to actually buying your product. You're going to have some sort of product matrix. So you may start with one thing and then move on to something else, right? When they've got that sorted out, you said, and now I've moved on over here with web design. So you started in one area and you moved them along. So that's using a product matrix. Could be a service matrix, and also then about the avatar, your customer avatar. Every single avatar is different. But what you've got to do is connect the dots. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, your story has got to be relevant to whatever you're trying to sell. Whatever journey you're taking your customer on, your story has got to be relevant to that. Okay? Your story's got to add value. I have been to situations where I've been listening to somebody come up on stage, and they stand up on stage and they tell this story. And I'm going, okay, that was an interesting story. And then they go on to talk about their products or services. And I'm sitting there thinking, why have you spent that time telling us that story? It has nothing to do with what's going on now. Right? And people do that because they think it's about their story. Well, it is about their story, but only the relevant bit. It's got to create a gap. So for you, meeting somebody, you probably sat with them and said, oh, so this is how you are, and somewhere along the line you said, this is how you want to be. So they're going, oh, there's a gap, and then you sit in the middle and go, and I can help you, right? Present yourself as a solution, and then it's absolutely about the next obvious step. Now, the next obvious step may be another meeting. It may be some design work, drafting something for them. It may be doing an audit of what they've currently got, okay, to lead into you doing your business next. So the next step may not be the sale, and that's fine. But the next step is the next step, and we should always be looking for what. There's a lovely guy in America, you may or may not have heard, a chap called Jeff Walker. He has a business called Product Launch Formula, that's what it's called. And he talks about elegant steps. So when you see a sales process and you go at step 3 and clunk, nothing goes past that, that step is probably not elegant. So what I mean by elegant is I go from here to there, I can do that quite elegantly, right? Doesn't look too weird. But if I try and go from there to there, it's now suddenly got really awkward. You're asking your customer to do too much. Either it's too big a leap of faith, right? Or they haven't understood your price and the value properly, so it looks like a huge thing rather than value for money. So really understanding how to make that step elegant is a vital piece of the puzzle. So how does it work? So we've got something here, their pain, right? And I've linked that to my story. So, being overwhelmed with problems. Hello, yes, overwhelmed with problems, right? And then I said, well, what's going on? These are different problems that may be. People don't work for you very well, and you're suddenly absolutely running around like a headless chicken. Then I've got to identify how I can serve them, and my story is how I'm going to link those three together. Okay? So here it goes. My story, the first bit I showed you, right? doing all the heart attack bit, to the point where I've stopped, paused, breathed, and continues here. But this bit, I've told you that, and then I said, do you get frustrated? Is this like you? Have you felt yourself under that much pressure? Because what happened to me when I had all this was I had to stop. And in that moment, what I then did was I realised what had been going on in my life. I paused and looked at the things that are going on, and I realised I had all this stuff happening, and I really didn't know which way to go. I needed to focus and get it all clear. So I got some help to get me to clarify what my business was about, what I was doing, and what opportunities there were existing for me with my current business, what I might need to change. And then I continued. And then I can say, so if that's you, what you might want to do is have a free From Survival to Success business Kickstarter call with me. And over 45 minutes, what I'm going to do, and I can talk about the things that I could do for you, and then afterwards, we can see if I can serve you. And if that's the case, then we can start working together. And if it's not, you got some value out of it. So now I've gone from, you're running around like a headless chicken, this is what you need to do, here's the way I can help you do it, and this is what's going to happen next. Does that flow? Does that make sense? Now, does any of those look like big steps? Awkward steps? Right? So in your business, what's going on up here, your life, that you can bring together, that you can get to a point to go, and when this happened, I then had to do something. So I got to this point. So this is me at the bottom of the stairs. So this is the story to the bottom of the stairs. Then I can start talking about what I did next. Then I can say, well, how I did it. Yeah? And then we can go through the online, whatever it's online courses, or it's one-to-one work, or it's workshops, or whatever it may be. Does that make sense? So there's nothing you can't do in this world. But if you show up, 100% you, with your story, bring it out there, put it out there for the world to say, put your heart into it, be uncomfortable, risk your reputation, you will make a difference. And you've been a lovely audience this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure.